Hey guys, I'm going to be showing you a bit of a behind the scenes on my X-T30 video. This is the first time I've done something like this, so it'll be a pretty rough cut. That being said, if you still have any questions or even suggestions for what I could do better in the next behind the scenes, then let me know in the comments. As far as videos go, this wasn't the craziest production I've done, but still you can see how I got some of these shots and did some editing. So anyways, let's get started. The reason for that is because as the hey bug. Alright, filming some parts for the X-T30 right now. Here's kind of my room setup for these shots. Got my laptop right there for, keeping track of the script, what shots I need. Got the camera, turn that off for now. And then we got two Softbox Lights here. These are just like cheap $40 ones for the set off Amazon, and you'll notice that I have the window covered up with a dark blanket. This is so no natural light comes in. The reason for that is just because as the sun sets and everything, the lighting in here is going to change a lot, and that's going to really mess some shots. So it's just easier just to use the controlled lights. My guinea pig is in here right now. We normally let her run all around this room, but she's locked up just to kind of, not get stepped on. The other thing is when I normally film, she's in the other bedroom, but my girlfriend is on a video call, so she's hanging out while I film today. One thing that I do with a lot of my shots is I actually use this little fabric for a backdrop. You'll see it's actually just some fabric from like a craft store, and I'm actually hanging it up with two command hooks. These just like stick on, and then they're easy to peel off when I'm done. This is really nice because I can set it up, take it down, move it around just how I need, and then we just have a little bobby pins in there to hold it up. This setup is super nice because it gives you a pop of color, it's cheap and easy to set up, and it just looks professional. I mean, there's no way you could tell I'm even shooting in a tiny, messy, dark bedroom. It just kind of makes your videos pop and stand out a bit more. It's worth noting as I shoot, I'm constantly moving these things around, whether that's up and down or just like shifting them around, because as you kind of change camera angles, you'll notice that the light might not be highlighting exactly what you want. Especially with the case with this camera is I like to have very bright, clean shots, and this camera, since it has a lot of black on it, there's a lot of shadow, and I really want to make sure that it doesn't come out too muddy, so it's really important, again, just to be moving around your lights and angling them as you go. Now, when I film, I normally use my 35mm f1.4 almost exclusively, but unfortunately in this video here, it's on the X-T30 because that's what I'm getting shots of. So I'm using my 18-55 zoom lens. I have the 56mm 1.2, which I would rather use, but since I'm getting so many close-up shots, the 56 can't focus close enough, so that's why I'm using this one. It gets the job done. It's not necessarily my favorite lens, but gotta do what you gotta do. You'll also notice that I'm actually filming on my TV stand here. Normally it seems like it'd make more sense to film on my desk, but the thing is, I really like the kind of color and texture of this wood. It's just a little brighter, kind of matches the vibe more. So I've just kind of moved everything off the TV stand and, again, just kind of making do with what I have. Alright, we'll take a little break so you can run around. Just one moment. Oops, sorry. There you go. Alright. She is just like me when I eat. Her cage is normally not this messy, but neither of us have had a chance to really clean it today. Alright, right now I'm doing some like ultra close-ups. The thing is, I don't have a macro lens, but I would actually recommend you get extension tubes if this is something you want to do. But I happen to already own these. They're like close-up filters from like my film lenses. So this is kind of what I use to get these super close shots. They're pretty good. I will say they're probably, again, not the sharpest option versus if you get a macro lens or, you know, extension tube, but, you know, working with what we got. Also, when I do these really slow sort of rotating pans, I'm not using my gimbal just because it's really hard to get really slow shots with that thing. So I actually am just using my tripod, and what I do is I use both hands, I grip it here, and I just slowly rotate it as smooth as I can. It helps to really tighten the bottom part here. Again, just to kind of give it plenty of friction to work with, but just kind of go as slow as I can. And, you know, most of the time it's just the right speed, but worst case, you can always speed it up in post. Alright, we got a nugget moved finally, so now I'm wrapping up the B-roll shot over there. And then once that's done, I'm going to be shooting in, you know, other parts of the room. Alright, so now I'm filming some stuff on this shelf here, a couple shots. If you watch my videos, you'll know this is the shelf that's in the background of my voiceovers. I just kind of cleared it off. The reason, again, I really like it is just because the pops of color here. We got the, these are actually sleeves from records, and then we have just, you know, more cheap fabric from the fabric store. And again, it kind of gives a nice little contrast of color. Alright, so now I'm filming kind of the last section of my shots. What I did was I hung the same fabric but up on the wall to kind of give a backdrop. What I'm filming is shots of me with the camera using it. Again, just you know, giving the illusion that I'm working in an actual studio when that's all it really is. And of course I got the monitor up there so I can you know, see myself. I'm about to do the voiceover right now, and it looks like my X-H1, let me focus this, is kind of toast. I don't really know. it's on right now. You can see there the screen's not coming through. The external monitor's not coming through. There's no image. It's not the display button. It won't respond to any settings I change. I've tried turning it off, does nothing. It still stays on. Tried popping the battery out. Putting it back in. Let's see here. Looks like it starts back up. It appears for just a sec and then goes out. Just my luck. Like, honestly, I can't... I don't know, there's a reason I want to get rid of this thing, like, honestly, but anyways, it looks like I'm gonna have to shoot this on the X-T30 now, so yeah, I'll set that up. Alright, we got that finally set up, so hopefully this one works now. Anyways, the setup here, I actually left that yellow wall up just in case I need to get more shots later. But we got the two soft boxes. I'm trying something new here where I'm pointing them up and bouncing them kind of off the ceiling and wall. I usually have them just face directly towards me, but I kind of want to try this just to see if it gives a bit of a softer kind of look. You know, we got the set here. It's pretty funny because everything's pretty messy, but you know, we just crop into, you know, the actually clean stuff. So yeah, I got the monitor here, and I usually have my laptop just on my lap, which has the script that I kind of, you know, take note of as I go through. Yeah, I'm trying to shoot this right before class, so hopefully I have enough time after that little, I don't know, little delay there. Anyways. Alright, now let's take a look at the actual editing. I use Final Cut Pro for everything. You can use Premiere and probably do all this and more, but this is just my preference. It's nothing too crazy. I do the cut of the voiceover clips first, then I line up the B-roll on top of it to match just based on my script. You'll see that I compounded all the voiceover clips together. This is really just so I only have to color grade one time, and then it applies to all the clips together. Overall, it's, I don't know, really simple stuff. For color grading my clips, I honestly just kind of freeball it. You're supposed to use scopes and waveforms, but honestly, I just go with what looks good. The scopes and stuff just honestly make things really laggy to scrub through, at least on my computer, and I feel like I focus more on making the scopes and waveforms look correct than what I actually want the clip to look like, so that's how I go about it. So here's kind of what a raw clip looks like. You can see I shoot in log, which gives the most options for color grading. The only problem is with shooting in log, it's really hard to tell what your shot is actually going to look like since, you know, everything's just gray. So when I shoot, I constantly switch back and forth between log and normal view when I'm setting up the shot and when I'm actually filming it. Alright, now let's do the actual color grading. So I'm going to first delete all these edits so we can start from scratch. The first step I do actually is apply this Eterna LUT. This actually comes from Fujifilm themselves. It basically just transforms the log footage to Eterna, which is one of their profiles. So honestly, you could just shoot in Eterna and kind of skip this step, but again, log just gives you a little more to work with, and this gives us our little base image here. So let's hop into the color wheels. So first thing I do, always add some saturation because, you know, I'm always about pops of color. And then next thing is we're going to boost the highlights here, just kind of brighten everything up. It's looking pretty good. You'll notice though the problem is now the camera itself is kind of washed out. So if we bring the midtones down, you can kind of bring more contrast detail into it. I rarely ever touch the shadows though, just because if you bring them down, you can kind of see everything just gets a little too dark and muddy. Sometimes I bring it up though, and I kind of do like that, but let's just kind of stick with this for now. Also, because I was shooting with this this yellow backdrop and kind of a yellowish desk, it gave the whole shot a bit of a yellow tint over it. This happened with most of the shots in the video. So what I did was in the temperature, I just kind of shifted it down, kind of made it a little cooler to compensate. Also, maybe a little bit of tint to it. There, so now we're getting a bit flatter of an image. Maybe kind of come back here. So now it looks a little cleaner. We can kind of see before and after. It's looking good. But yeah, for each shot, kind of depending on, you know, how the lighting is set up and, you know, distance to that wall, I did need to adjust the temperature accordingly. So do note just, you know, I didn't just keep that the same for all of them. Now, if we bring in color curves, I do this really simple curve here. Let's see, so if we bring the highlights down, you can kind of see this kind of softens them up. Because if we keep them like this, it's a little harsh, but if we bring them down, it kind of smooths it out, makes it a little easier on the eyes. But if we bring this up, it kind of does the same thing for the blacks. If you go too far, you can kind of see then you lose a little too much detail, but I usually keep it between kind of in this first block here. I say that's good, and if you see before and after, you can kind of see everything's just a little smoother, a little easier on the eyes. Just kind of a little more pleasant in my book. Now let's see. Last thing here, because we are shooting with a lot of yellow, we can actually mess with the hue and saturation. So if we use the eyedropper right here, we can now adjust how saturated that yellow is going to be in the background. It's actually pretty good now, but again, I kind of like it a little poppier. So if we bring it up, you know, kind of makes it stand out a little more. And we can do the same thing with the hue versus luma. We can darken the background or brighten it. Again, this one's pretty good. I might brighten it. Well, even darkening it, this is pretty good. But this one, it's pretty fine as is, but some of the shots, again, just because of how the lighting is, you might want to, you know, brighten or darken, you know, the luma or the saturation just to kind of keep things consistent. So yeah, here you can see the before and after for that too. Just kind of makes it pop a little more. And yeah, that's kind of our basic grade. I might even cool that down a tiny bit more. And yeah, there you go. So yeah, we got our basic color grade. Now what I do with that is I'll copy and paste it to all the other clips throughout the video, just to, you know, so I don't have to start from scratch again. But again, I will edit those couple, you know, settings like the temperature and kind of the, you know, settings for how bright and saturated the yellow is in the background. Plus, you know, maybe tweak some things, you know, if the lights were a little different. And yeah, that's kind of it editing-wise. I guess for shots like this where I'm in it, the one extra thing I did was, here, you can see, I actually did boost the red as well just because, you know, make my shirt pop a little more. So yeah, other than that, that's kind of it. It's really basic stuff, nothing too crazy. Anyways, that's it for this behind the scenes. Obviously, it was a pretty rough cut, but if you have any questions or even suggestions for what you would like me to focus on in my next one, do let me know, because I, you know, definitely am down to hear what you guys want to see. But yeah, I guess there's a few things I didn't quite even touch on. I didn't really talk about how I make the music or any of the audio, but, you know, that's kind of a whole separate topic. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful, and yeah, let me know what you think.